Welcome to JWL Sports, where we review all the best sports clips from around the world. All right, we're watching a clip of First Things First, talking about JJ McCarthy versus Aaron Rodgers. Because I guess they're going to be playing one another this season, of course. And so this is going to be a really interesting clip. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm really curious to see how Nick handles it because he doesn't like Aaron Rodgers. Dare I say he hates Aaron Rodgers. And I don't think he's too fond of JJ McCarthy. So I'm really curious to see what he has to say, and then we'll take a listen, and then we'll break it down from there. Let's get into it.
Okay, Havanese did not get out of...
I know, and I'm
Oh,
glad.
they're playing in London.
Head across the pond. We're across the pond again. For some more scheduled news, Week 5, Jets and Vikings. There's Aaron Rodgers. Brew, we'll start with you. What are the chances Rodgers gets outplayed by J.J. McCarthy?
Nil.
Really?
Absolutely nil. What has been one of the Vikings' problems lately? Defense, pass defense in particular. Now, they were better last year.
Quarterback health has been the problem.
No, the defense hasn't been able, even when they were winning, the defense, heck, Daniel Jones was throwing for 300 yards against them. I think maybe twice in 2 seasons ago. Last year, the defense got better, but pass defense was still bottom 10 in the league. The Jets actually have a very good pass defense, and they get to the quarterback. They added Hassan Reddick. They're going to be all over J.J. McCarthy. And Rodgers, if he hasn't yet thrown for 300 by Week 5, that could be the weekend.
Wow.
I'm serious. That could be the weekend happen, especially with you up here talking trash. You know he sees it.
I'd say less than nil, if such a thing like that exists. I mean, the Vikings also lost Daniil Hunter, so that makes their defense even worse. I mean, this game's in Week 5. We don't even know if J.J. McCarthy's going to be starting by then. It might be Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That's what the initial reports are out of Vikings camp, that he doesn't just have to beat out Sam Darnold by like a percent or two. He's got to be ready to run with it. I'm not sure he's going to be ready to do that against the Jets defense internationally, going up against Aaron Rodgers in Week 5 of the season. And the last time we saw Rodgers, it was a dip from back-to-back MVP years, but he was pretty good. He was league average, 3,700 passing yards. So, I mean, he's right in the middle, quarterback rating of 92. So the idea that J.J. McCarthy is going to be a league average player 5 weeks into the season seems ridiculous.
Well, go ahead, Wilds.
Well, I've never heard Aaron Rodgers had a good year when he went.
It was an average year for the league. Bad year
for him, it was low, but
He went below 500, and he never threw for 300 yards.
How many games has it been since he threw for 300 yards?
For 300 yards in 23 games.
Do you know how many
days?
days?
He's got the Vikings on opening night, so that'll be 24. I'm almost penciling that one in already.
He doesn't have the Vikings opening night. He has the Niners.
I'm sorry, it's the Niners.
That's what you mean. And that opening night will be 1,000 days.
1,000.
1,001 on opening night. The last time he threw for 300 yards. Here's the thing. As long as Aaron Rodgers keeps reminding us he's not a normal quarterback, I can't talk about him like a normal quarterback. Here's the thing. Here's what I'm going to say.
Did you dive more into the podcast?
Here's what I'm going to say.
I recommend against it.
If you were building a house and this summer, and you hired somebody to be in charge of the construction,
Oh, my God.
and the first time you spent time with him, he was like, so, let's talk about this vaccine. You'd be like,
God.
I don't think you're locked in. If your accountant was like, hey,
I'm running for vice president.
Yeah, exactly right. Like, guys, you'd be like, oh, you're distracted. If stockbroker was like, here's the thing about mud floods, guys, you would be like, oh, I can't trust you. I can't. So people say my opinions on Aaron are colored by his non-football stuff. Of course they are. He just
he wasn't out there in Green Bay at all?
Not
during those
not
MVP seasons?
This. No. He was not spending 2.5 hours with Tucker Carlson talking about anything and everything. I don't think he's focused.
Where are we at?
I don't think, Brew.
Is it Week 5 now, or is it the offseason?
Wait a second.
The man can do whatever he wants.
Hold on, wait a second. Micah Parsons, whose job is to
during
see
the
football,
season.
We talk about stuff he's doing in the offseason. So I do not think Aaron Rodgers is locked in. I don't think he's going to be locked in, and I also think international games have.
Is Rashee Rice locked in? I want to know, is Rashee Rice with the Chiefs, is he locked in? I mean, I know he did have a playbook in the car and some cleats So I guess he was locked in, but I don't know. Let me know.
More to do with coaching than any other type of game. And I trust the head coach of the Vikings, who I know you think is excellent, Kevin O'Connell, to have his team on schedule, ready, a plan, more than Robert Saleh's crew in New York with the fake OC who they tried to replace and couldn't effectively replace, and now he gets to still be the OC.
That's
so.
Okay, let's talk about this. Nick said a lot. I've already gone on my whole rant about politics and Aaron Rodgers that I'll link in the comments. I'll pin it. I'm going to pin my JJ McCarthy video because some of you guys are going to maybe now think that I'm hating on JJ McCarthy, which I'm not. And then I'll also add the Aaron Rodgers video as well because I'm not going to rehash that whole thing. But very quickly, I'll just say Nick is letting his own political views completely skew what he's saying, and that I'm not saying whether I agree or disagree with Aaron politics and that. I don't care. I don't even really know 95% of the stuff that I don't even know what Aaron has said because I can't emphasize this enough. I do not care. It does not matter to me. I do not get my information about the world and culture and politics and all that from Aaron Rodgers or any other celebrity, professional athlete at all. Their opinion means nothing to me. And I am from the side that I would prefer all these guys to not talk about that type of stuff, quite honestly. Like, I would not like my quarterback to be having all these vocal opinions. So I do get that. I am in a way kind of a shut up and dribble type of person, although that sounds way too aggressive. It doesn't mean that you can't have an opinion. It doesn't mean that you can't be passionate about other issues, but at the same time, it shouldn't take away from your actual profession at hand. No matter where you're from, no matter whether you're rich, poor, black, white, whatever, you're there to do this job. That is your role. Just like at my job or your job, your role is to not be a political trendsetter. You're there is to do work, to be an accountant, to be a home builder, to be a carpenter, a painter, whatever. And professional athletes should be no exception to that. No exception to that. So that's why, in terms of shut up and dribble, it should be shut up and dribble and shut up and paint and shut up and do accounting and shut up and write, newspaper articles or whatever. Like, it's all the same to me. So it's not just exclusive to athletes. But I digress. I think that that's what then really does influence Nick's opinion. But all of that aside, whether you agree that Aaron Rodgers is right or wrong, it's irrelevant specifically because a ton of people agree with Aaron Rodgers. The mainstream media does not. And again, let me emphasize this again. It doesn't matter who's right or wrong in this situation. What matters is that he's not an outlier. A lot of people agree with him, and a lot of people in the locker room agree with his views. Therefore, he's not as divisive as Nick thinks he is. He's not as much of a distraction as Nick thinks he is. If this was one of those things where Aaron stood on an island and it was just him and his whole teammates, it's like if he was racist or something, and now he's going into a locker room with majority black people, yeah, that would be a problem. But that's not the case. And that's, to me, is what Nick is trying to paint the picture as. That he is just this absolute issue that no matter where he goes. To the mainstream media, yes. To people like Nick, yes. To the locker room, not so much. Not really. So that's just the way that I see it. So that's that aspect. And I unpacked that a lot more in that other video. But now back to the actual game at hand in terms of Rodgers versus JJ McCarthy, which they never really, honestly, quite frankly, addressed. One, if JJ McCarthy is not starting, I think that's okay, and I don't think that's an indictment on McCarthy. I've said this before. I'm a huge fan of having your quarterback sit for a year. I think it's great, and I think the coaching staff and everything that they have going in Minnesota is amazing and great. I'm envious. I absolutely love the coach with Minnesota, and I think JJ McCarthy and him will really be able to do great things. I have no idea how quickly. I have no idea if JJ McCarthy will be able to hit the ground running from the jump. Zero idea. Truly, no idea. But I do think eventually, whether it's year 1 or year 2 or year 3, they will. And so I'm really excited for the future of the Minnesota Vikings. But let's just say that J.J. McCarthy is starting, and he's playing pretty well. The reality is that he is going up against a great elite defense of the Jets. That's indisputable. And again, we have Patrick Mahomes, okay, who against the Jets last season, 18 for 30. This is Patrick Mahomes. 18 for 30, 203 yards, 6.8 average yards per attempt, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, QBR of 81.3, and a rating of 63.6. It's not exactly lighting the field on fire, the game on fire. So I just think that it's one of those things where, what are we expecting a rookie quarterback to do in that situation? So I'm not anticipating that J.J. McCarthy will be able to light up the Jets. The Jets. I almost thought I said the Packers. The Jets. And that's okay. Patrick Mahomes looked pretty pedestrian against the Jets. And quite frankly, if the Jets had a competent quarterback, would have beaten the Kansas City Chiefs. And last time I checked, the Kansas City Chiefs won back-to-back Super Bowls. And Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL. So I'm just not expecting that a rookie J.J. McCarthy is going to be able to just be unbelievable. It's not to say that he can't play great. It's not to say that he won't be able to stay composed or be good. But the truth is that good defenses a lot of times do get the best of young rookie quarterbacks. They just do. That's why Bill Belichick ate up all the young rookie quarterbacks over the years. And so I just think that that's a real potential possibility. And one of the weaker points technically for the Vikings can be seen as their defense. And so Aaron Rodgers is an elite quarterback. I have no idea how healthy he's going to be. I believe he's going to be 100% healthy, and I believe he is going to have a year better than his last healthy year. I really do believe that. And so I think Aaron Rodgers will have a great season. Again, as long as everyone stays healthy. But to me, the question really isn't, will Aaron Rodgers get outplayed by J.J. McCarthy? Like, that's just a dumb question, because I hate the idea. I always hate those questions of comparing those two quarterbacks in a game and saying this player outplayed that player, because they're not actually playing each other. They're not. I mean, we say this, but then we always say, well, hey, they're not on the field at the same time, and yet we still have conversations and questions like this. They're going up against completely different defenses. It's not the same thing. This isn't basketball where at least like LeBron James and Michael Jordan would actually be like on the court at the same time, probably playing defense on one another. So then you can say so-and-so outplayed the other player. Like, that can at least make sense to a degree. It doesn't in football. It doesn't. If a quarterback only, throws the ball 20 times and goes 18 for 20, but another quarterback throws the ball 50 times and goes 30 for 50, who outplayed who? It's you can't even compare the two. It's faulty data. It makes no sense. So to me, the real question is like, how will both quarterbacks play? And I think if you had to guess who will have a better outing, I would lean towards Aaron Rodgers and the Jets, mainly because that defense for the Jets, I think, will be trouble. And again, if you're a Minnesota Vikings fan, that's nothing to be hating on. That's just you're going to go up against a tough defense. And if J.J. McCarthy is indeed playing, he's going to learn a lot of lessons that game, right? He's going to learn a lot of lessons, what it's like to be going up against a intense, ferocious, locked-in defense who a lot of people see the Jets head coach as like a legitimate defensive mind, and that, Robert Saleh, and that you can't take that for granted. And so that's just not an easy thing to overcome. You're not going to expect J.J. McCarthy to go undefeated. You're going to expect him to at least have a really bad game or two. He has to. Everyone has. Mahomes has. Tom Brady has. Josh Allen, Joe Burrow. Every quarterback under the sun has had really terrible, awful games. And this could be the game that J.J. McCarthy just doesn't look so great. And to me, it'll be one of those games where if he doesn't play real well and throws, 2 interceptions, 3 interceptions, everybody will say, was J.J. McCarthy a reach? Are the Vikings in trouble with J.J. McCarthy? And again, that's all nonsense, because look at the stats for Mahomes. If that was Mahomes' rookie year and you saw that game, you would say, was Mahomes a reach by the Kansas City Chiefs? He looked lost out there. What are the Chiefs going to do moving forward? I don't know if Patrick Mahomes is the answer. So it's just, it's meaningless to me. It really, really is meaningless to me. So it's an interesting question, but not a valid question to ask in May 15th of 2024 of what's going to happen with JJ McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers on October 6th. I said this the other day, but we're really reaching for football content right now. And I get it. I want to talk football. I love basketball too, and I've been making a lot of basketball videos as well, but football is just more interesting, quite honestly. There's just more to talk about because since it is such a week-to-week thing and there's so much bigger personalities and bigger storylines, I feel as though in football than there are basketball, especially because like Denver Nuggets lose game 1 and it's like, oh my God, they're going to lose. And then they win game 3 and it's like, oh my God, they're going to win now. And it's like, it's the conversation is just kind of like a ping pong ball back and forth. And I feel like football at least is a little bit more, you're moving forward. But the problem is we need games played. We actually need week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. And then now we actually see these players play. So the content could be, wow, JJ McCarthy looked really great in week 1. What does this mean for the future? Wow, CJ Stroud had kind of a tough game in week 1. What does that mean for the team? Is the offense going to be okay? Like, it's actually like legitimate content. This is just, I want to talk football. Aaron Rodgers and the Jets play JJ McCarthy and the Vikings in London. Who's going to outplay who? And it's like, I don't know, man. What are we talking about? So, hopefully at the very least you're entertained. And it's, to me, sometimes this stuff is fun to watch and listen to because it's a lot more passive and it doesn't really matter because there's zero stakes right now, literally zero stakes. So to me, it's more just like background noise than anything. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think? What are the chances that Aaron Rodgers gets outplayed by JJ? And what do you think about Nick's whole rant about Aaron Rodgers being a distraction? And I don't even want to say the guy's name because I don't want any of these videos that I make to ever be flagged as a political type thing. I cringed when he said a couple words. I'm like, no, don't say that. Don't say that. I don't talk about that on this channel. So YouTube algorithm, I talk sports, not politics. But let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of, and I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.